Man-Thing is the next card to drop in Marvel Snap. Is he worth your precious collector's tokens or opening spotlight caches? I'll try and answer that question in this installment of...
Is it worth it?
Sup, nerds? Man-Thing's a weird character. For real. He's basically a dude that injected himself with vegetable serum, and now he is a magical pile of algae. But in Marvel Snap, he is a 4 energy, 5 power card that reads, ongoing 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here have -2 power. Now, as far as the mechanics go, this will be brief because there's not really too much to say here. The card is kinda obvious on all accounts. But his effect is symmetrical, so Luke Cage is your friend. He won't affect 0 cost cards like Mjolnir, Wasp, and Yellow Jacket, even though it sort of feels like he should. Rogue is going to completely clap this dude's cheeks, and his total power can get up to 13 if the other side of the lane is filled with 4 cards that are 1, 2, and 3. That's pretty good power and a pretty good effect, especially if you build your deck around it. But it's definitely not plug and play like the last card to release, also Bloodstone, which I think is the main downside of this card. Now, that's not to say it's not good. He's probably going to be an excellent card in specific archetypes. And also a quick aside on the meta, I mean, I'm sure you're seeing on the ladder that most decks are running 6 to 8 cards that are 1, 2, and 3. The curve is very low in the current meta decks right now, so Man-Thing might be a bit better than everyone is expecting him to be. So back to the plug and play comment, I think a great example of a current card we have in the game that is equal to the type of thing Man-Thing does is Shuri. Now, stay with me. Shuri is a very powerful card. We all know what it can do. But Shuri is really only played in like 1, 2, 3 decks at the very most. Man-Thing to me is the Shuri of junk and afflict type archetypes. Hazmat decks, junk decks, stuff like that have been fringe playable for pretty much the existence of Marvel Snap, but they've really never been good enough to take into like Infinity Conquest or like rank really high on competitive ladder. I think Man-Thing might change that. Now those archetypes have a solid, powerful effect that is just going to ramp up their overall power level just that much more. Let's take a look at a couple of deck lists that Man-Thing could be really good in. First up is a junk style list, your classic Debris, Hood, Viper stuff.
Well said.
Ravonna is a recent addition to the game that really helps out this archetype. Lets you play all your stuff ahead of curve, and just playing Hobgoblin on turn 4 feels really good. I think Dr. Octopus might see a bump in play thanks to Man-Thing. He's going to be yoinking stuff into the lanes, and unless they're really big, half the cards that Dr. Octopus pulls are probably going to be stuff that are going to get shrunk by Man-Thing. Also, when you're playing a junk Debris style deck, Dr. Octopus is much better because sometimes it's not even pulling things out of the lane and it's just straight up 10 power. But yeah, sending over a Hood with Viper and the Goblins and Debris Rocks and just clogging up the opponent's side of the board, and then you slam down a Man-Thing, that's going to be a pretty big swing of power. But yeah, I think this deck is going to be much better now that Man-Thing is around. It was sort of mediocre in the past, always annoying, always sort of fun, but maybe now it's competitive. Next up is a high evolutionary Man-Thing deck. Got both the things here, double thangs.
Stuff. Thanks.
We're just taking all the afflict abilities in the game, smashing them into one deck. Got the classic Hazmat Luke Cage combo here. Zabu lets us get our power plays out a turn earlier. Iron Lad is in here because Zabu, and also almost everything you're copying in this list, aside from Abomination and High Evo itself, is a pretty good hit with Iron Lad. And then after you crank out all those powerful plays early and shrink everything the opponent's doing, you pretty much hopefully slam a free Abomination and America Chavez on the last turn of the game, or a free Abomination and some combination of like, you know, Hazmat, Thing, Iron Lad. Also, you could take this list and the list of I just showed earlier, the Stuff and Things list, and mash them together and have like a nice combination of both of those. I think something like that could work as well. So, is Man-Thing worth it? Well, it is a Series 4 card, so it's only 3k tokens, and if you're just spending tokens on him, I do think he's worth it. Now, as far as Spotlight caches go, I would normally say no, because opening up 4 Spotlight caches is quite the investment, but the other cards in this the upcoming week's Spotlight caches are Silver Samurai and Lady Deathstrike. I personally don't have any of those cards. I'm only missing like 5 cards in the game, and just so happens 2 of them are coming up in the spotlight caches, so I'm absolutely opening 4 spotlight caches for Man-Thing. So yeah, I would say if you don't have Silver Samurai specifically, and you want to get Man-Thing, then totally, I would open up spotlight caches for Man-Thing. Because if you don't get them, you're getting another underrated and pretty good card in Silver Samurai. But that's it. That's my final judgment on Man-Thing. I would say super good in a couple of decks. Not really playable outside of those, but he's going to be so good in those decks that it's probably worth it, also considering he's a Series 4 card. Let me know some cool ideas you might have that I didn't think of with Man-Thing. Do all that good stuff like liking and subscribing. Also consider becoming a member. It really helps me out. And the bigger this community gets, the more I can do videos where I interact with viewers and members of the channel. That's all. Good luck in your games. Later, nerds.